Togo and Kenya. Togo, as you may have seen, there have been major protests against the now 50-year rule of the same family, and several protesters were killed. The government says 2, the opposition says 7. I'm wondering, you have an office on West Africa. What is the UN? Are they following this? Do they intend to?
We are following it. I don't have any language on Togo right now, but we'll see what we can get.
And I wanted to ask on Kenya and the election. It seems like more and more questions are being raised about the validity of the results that were announced. And there have been at least 2 UN things I wanted to ask you about. One is that the former special rapporteur, Maina Kiai, was detained at the airport when he sought to leave the country, and also Rosalind Akambe, as you know. I guess I wanted to, there's been a lot of coverage there about when does she intend. She took a leave of absence to work on that commission. She left the country saying she was coming to New York for meetings. Did she meet anyone in the UN? When's her expected time to return to UN service?
We've given you some updates on her status in January, if
I
I recall. I'm not aware of any updates, and I'm not aware of any meetings she may have had here.
And does the UN have? I guess it's a special rapporteur, which I understand is an independent UN position. But what do you have to say about a human rights defender being detained?
I'll check on that situation.
Sure. I wanted to ask you about the meeting the Secretary General had with the president of the Italian Red Cross. I know that he rarely, the Secretary General doesn't really issue a lot of readouts, but the Italian Red Cross side did, in fact, direct quoting, "I want to express my total solidarity and my great admiration for the works of the Italian Red Cross." With these words, the Secretary General began his talk in the glass house. This was sent out. So I guess what I want to know is, it's something that I've tried to ask them, but I want to ask you, this issue of the government of Italy, not the Italian Red Cross, but the actual government of Italy, cooperating with, working with the Libyan Coast Guard and the Libyan Navy. Many refugee and migration advocates are saying this is a very bad thing, that in fact people are being, it's refoulement, and there's some allegations that Italy is actually paying, I don't want to say per head, but there's some kind of payment. So I wanted to know, first, is there a readout of the meeting? And even if there's not, what is the Secretary General's position on Italy's actual work with this Libyan Coast Guard
I'm not aware of
operation?
a readout. I would not be surprised if the Secretary General congratulated the Italian Red Cross, I think both from his experience as High Commissioner for Refugees and what he's seen and what he knows of their work. They are and have been doing for a long time incredible work in bringing a human touch to the suffering and of men, women, and children who've made that perilous crossing. As for the other issue, I think you've asked for it, and I've answered you, and our position has not changed. Yes, Nizar.
Do you have any statement regarding the ongoing operations by the Lebanese army against ISIS in the eastern mountains of Lebanon?
No. Yeah.
As a longtime UN communications professional, I want to get your point of view on this.
Rarely have I been called a professional.
All right, that was the build-up. So
Yeah,
you've been
thank
buttered
you,
up. Here it is. In the Yinglup Sang trial, one of the exhibits that was used, that's since been released and we have published, has Mr. Yiping Zhu, who I understand has left the system, writing to Francis Lorenzo saying, great coverage of the Secretary General's visit. This was a visit to Honduras and El Salvador in 2015. We should do more for the SG and other heads of UN organs, especially for our UNDP Administrator Helen Clark. Please find my letter of support. And attached to that was a letter of support for the Macau Convention Center. So just on its face, it looks like a quid pro quo. Thank you for positive coverage by South-South News of the trip, and here's the support for a now highly dubious, discredited convention center. Are you comfortable with this?
Listen, I haven't seen the letter. What is clear is that Mr. Yiping Zhu no longer works for this organization, and Mr. Lorenzo never has.
Right, but he was the representative. He was the envoy of the Secretary General. Can you
I'm
say
telling you
whether
he's
Ban
no
Ki-moon had any?
No, Ban Ki-moon
he's
had
his
no
envoy.
knowledge of any of those activities. Thank you.